Man, I'm just trying not to lose it and just blast these people like all over on the in a video. But people that came here for some bad reasons need to unfollow me here. You got blocked elsewhere. Don't follow me here. I don't need stalker type people or catfishing, whatever the crap is from that other camp over there. So you need to go. Typically, like I'll read like the comments here if I see them, but I don't allow most of them on here. So, and then some of them actually don't make it on here because the individuals that are stalking me just want to make it known that they have something to say to me, but for the rest of you not to see it. And then others maybe because YouTube did something to their accounts. I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of activity that's been going on for like months and months and months and months that nobody knows about. And so if you don't see it, you don't know what the hell is going on. So yeah, there's been some malicious activities from a number of people, and I know one was related to some other camp there, or at least in some fashion, because who the hell was pushing me to go somewhere like months ago? Yeah, and then all this garbage started happening. There was garbage happening prior to that, and yeah, there was issues even prior to that. So yeah, nope. But if I see it, I'm gonna block you. I don't want you here because you're a fake crusader and I don't know what your MO is. And yeah, mostly if I'm hearing things about using certain programs that can hide identities and things, like I don't do anything like that. And just I shouldn't even have to say it in my clips. Oh, please don't go harassing people. I think that most of the people that come here, the only people they harass is me. I do not go to people's homes. I don't stalk them down and show up at their house and make threats. I've never done anything like that. I don't go trying to get people to lose their jobs. If they lose their jobs, it has to do with something that they did on their own. And some company didn't like the conduct that they have done. But these people, I've had people impersonate me. I've had people hack into my accounts. I've number of things that I put up with just like as an average, like it's a normal daily thing that I just have to deal with. And most of the guys in the music industry are toxic trash and they're bullies. And they have tons of people that like come to me and they start trying to set me up into situations so they could bully me more. So yeah, you could take that garbage out of here. I cannot defend people that do the same things that other people are getting busted for. And so if you want to defend that, you can get on out of here too. So we're trying to tackle some really serious topics here. We're not here trying to hook up with anybody. So get the fuck on. Okay, so this story is another example of male supremacists and their bullshit here. So this is Delaware Online. Rape images, racist chats, evidence against ex-Smyrna detective. Detective. See, I told you the detectives are total rapists. They get those jobs because they get to see child porn for free every day, right? Isn't that the best job to get and have the excuse and not get busted for it? Yeah, so the LA detectives out here were totally pro human trafficking and rape and actually had knowledge of it in as early as 1990, but we know it was much earlier than that. But they were out and proud talking in the media, oh, we're aware of this. Like, us as a human didn't matter in the story, and even the way they talk. So listen to how people talk. I'm trying to teach people to listen how to people talk and how fucking vile, evil they are, and what they're actually promoting. Yeah, maybe, people shouldn't bully me when you don't know the damn story, but I put up with this all the time. And then you get these other people that try to act like they're above it when they're actually not. So let's just be real here. Any story that I've tackled is because people are being hypocrites and they were part of harming other people and we're calling it out. And mostly on our gender when they harming our gender and trying to justify that because they got diddled as a kid, right? So most of these cases, even in there was a new case that came out. I mean, it's not a new case, but there was a news story of that Herb, whatever, Bushmeister, whatever bullshit. So he's a serial killer. One of the things I noticed in that case is that they didn't even do like a full detailed thing on his parents. which is actually key in what's going on here, right? So we're pulling up the parents now and showing how effed up they are and how they created those monsters. So if there's a guy who's like closeted gay and he goes out and he starts serial killing a bunch of gays, I mean, there's something in that home life that caused that. It wouldn't be from being schizophrenic, which maybe that was because of the abuses, right? Because we did find that out being in correlation to that stuff. But you're not born thinking, I'm going to go kill some gays. You know what I mean? So there was something in that family structure there that was hella wrong. And then their way of combating it was try to get him into therapy. And it's like, okay, see, that was the same thing that happened in this other celebrity thing, right? That we've talked about. And I go, that stuff is so important to know. It isn't a thing about trying to be malicious with anybody. It is trying to get down to the bottom of that, of what's actually causing that. And in the 90s there, they were full on hate speech on the gays. So if you were gay, and you were getting abused at home in your Christian household, yeah, that can come out, a big monster gay man, and then he goes and murders people. Yeah, because there's a self-loathing thing to it. And also in these cases, we're finding out that they've been molested and raped by their fathers, or some other individual in these families. And they're not going to come out and express that with the law enforcement or any other person because they're downright abusers, right? So, and then we've seen them just talking normally, like they see no wrong in how they're treating their kid, like beating them up, right? So that was a normal thing to do to kids in the 90s. And so, and into the 80s, right? It would be like a 80s, 70s. I'd have to go back to his case of how old he was at the time of, but yeah, it would be from those time periods when he was little to how he came out now, right? So here's this guy. So he's like, I'm a former Smyrna police detective who is facing federal child pornography charges, was captured on social media describing his love of rape, right? And I said there was a problem with this. So rape is a hate crime. It is not sex. It is doing things against people's will and being malicious and finding enjoyment and being a sadist, right? There's a whole thing to that. And I pointed this out even on the Marilyn Manson thing about a decade ago almost. It's like, oh, what was that, 2014? I don't even remember when that was. And I'm actually very educated on these topics of like kinks and fetishes and things like that. But even then, I was saying that is actually not a good thing because of where this stuff is coming from, right? Now, the question was, even in that stuff, was, are they actually doing it? Like the person that's doing these rape fantasy sort of things, are they actually doing it? Well, lo and behold, yes, they are. So as well as using vulgar and racist language when referring to girls and women, according to federal court documents. Okay, so who hasn't been doing this in government? I'm just wondering. Using vulgar and racist language when referring to girls and women. Vulgar language and racist, right? And so I was talking about the catapult thing to racism and how it just goes right into neo-Nazi. It is crazy. But when you read the thing of Peter Thal, like, I hope you guys can understand something and learn something from that, because it's not just even trash him, but to see how it goes from women are objects, this whole thing, to, people of color are, they're just crazy in the head and making stuff up. I mean, that whole thing, right? Because then they just victimize themselves and I can just trash them, right? So this person's a sociopath, so they're treating them all like objects. I'll be damned that I'm reading, oh my God, like, if there's a topic, like, that could be flipped on its head, the thing about sociopaths, like, I don't know, there was some weird write-up, I didn't even click on it because it's so ridiculous, saying people that watch too much screen time, and BPD or something. I'm like, this is outrageous. They're muddying the waters of what the main problem is here, and it's driving me nuts. Okay, so the documents obtained by Delaware Online, the news journal, detailed conversations found Michael Anthony's social media account included one in November in which he offered someone on social media pictures of a young girl from a football game where he was working overtime. There's a football thing, guys. I told you it was not good. The courts also revealed a sexually charged conversation the 33-year-old had with the 16-year-old girl on Snapchat account, the instant message app whose pictures and messages are only available for up to 24 hours. Yeah, so there's been stories all over the place where people are trying to promote, raping 16-year-olds, and, there's still some states that still have 16 as being legal, yada, yada, yada. But it's these men going after kids, and no, it's not consensual regardless of those laws. I'd rape that slutty block bleep. See, there it goes. So the target is on male supremacy, females, right? Slutty, boom, that's all females, right? Boom, racist, goes right to racism. So now he's a white supremacist, I'm pretty sure. Or he's just I don't know what he is. He could be, I don't know if he's a white guy or a black guy. But this can come from either, anybody, right? So now he's going racist. He's like my ancestors did in North Carolina back when America was great. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a white supremacist, right? So was one of the quotes attributed to Keithy in the court documents. And that's a detective, okay? That's a detective. They're all this way. I was like, Snapchat account. I don't use Snapchat. I probably should, and I'm not going to, because I'll get this guy. You know what I mean? It's kind of that thing. It's like, I don't mind like the conversations going away. However, if you want to actually track them and it's doing that crap and you get this full, like, I don't know. Just all this crap today is just outrageous. Okay, on his iPhone and his work iPhone, the U.S. Department of Justice announced Tuesday morning that he was facing charges of distributing possession of child pornography. The shocked and appalled when reading the federal charges against him after 7 years with the department. He was fired and they were made aware of the charges. Well, 7 years ago, what was 7 years ago? We're in 2023, right? So 10 years ago was 2013. Around what, 15, 16, right, or something. They were pro-rape then because like I said, I reported all these things and they were still promoting this kind of crap and laughing at child rape and all kinds of stuff at different departments. So yeah, I mean, that's what we expect, right? This was their criteria to get hired, right? They're the ones that made up, the lying bitch brigades and all this stuff. Okay, we learned of these details when public did and are still processing them. There were certainly never any signs of bias or bigotry during his employment. This is bullshit. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. I will tell you that is bullshit. Because nobody that talks like that actually lies about how they feel. They continually talk like this, which means that whole department there has a problem and totally okay and normalize that behavior. I would look at everybody else in the department because that's their everyday speech. They're not sitting there masking to this point to where they're just a whole different human. That is not true at all. And if he's so happy about posting it in public, there was another cop too that did the same thing, where he had a whole pedophile fucking Twitter account. They're targeting me, but not these guys. So the thing was, they're like free speech for the pedo. But not her, not the victim of these guys. So we're going to target her to hell and let him run a fucking pedophile website, And it was prior to Elon Musk. They were trying to blame him for it. And I go, actually, it was under Jack. Because I was fighting all those guys under Jack's Twitter. And they were targeting me. Of course they would target me because I am not for raping kids. And we're talking about all these sexual abuses and how kids were acting as kids when they were kids, doing conduct that they should have not have done. But at what point is how many of them turned into these mega monster predators, right? And so they may come out now, like 60 years later and go, God, I was a victim. It's like, oh, that whole time you were okay with it, right? So what'd you do in between then, right? So what we're finding out is those guys actually did stuff because they okayed it. A lot of them. Yeah, you would, because if you're totally okay with some guy raping somebody as a kid, you certainly will do it. Why are you defending it? And why would you support it, right? I'm not supporting anybody that supports that crap. That's disgusting. Because they're going to do it to me. What's going to happen is, let's say this is some guy that's trying to hook up with you, right? And he's going on about, I totally have no problem with, adults going after kids. Well, they're telling you that this person's going to be fine with doing that. You're going to be with this guy, and all of a sudden you're going to have these like allegations, and then what are you going to do? They're going to come after you going, you knew about it. And then they always deny that they didn't, and then they get thrown in prison, and then you're like stuck, with this bullshit on you. You know what I mean? It's going to turn into that. You could already tell who's a rapist. And so if allegations come up, the first thing that women tend to do is go defend it. No, and then they'll do it to you too. But we're finding in those cases a more interesting dynamic is the woman is just as bad, if not worse, than the guy. And that's something, I had an inkling, like an idea that was going on, but I was trying to figure out, because you don't know these people, right? But when I go do my research, then the research tells me about those people. And I recently did one, on the Danny Masterson's wife thing. Okay, so no, horrific. So it started to make sense. I was like, oh yeah, because he's a total dick. I could tell he's a dick, like right off the bat, right? And I was like, yeah, what type of woman would be? They would have to be either the most naive thing under the sun, or they're his partner in crime, right? Yeah, partner in crime. Pretty bad. In fact, she may actually be a rapist too, from what I was reading. I'm debating when I'm going to put that up or whatever. I was just reading a story that somebody else actually wrote about it, which was, I knew nothing about that. And yeah, they hold the same views, the same ideology where they're trashing minority groups of people, right? And doing this thing. Now, there's a big difference between the general ignorance, which is all bad still, and stuff like this, right? This isn't general ignorance. Like, okay, like you may use words that are, that they were publicly, like, common ground, which they never should be, right? And kids start picking it up and they don't even know the meanings, right? And they may, as an adult, still use them in really effed up ways. Like, I was talking about that because that actually is real. And it's just stupid and people need to stop. But also this here, they know what they're talking about because they're saying back when America was great again. So they are specifically talking about being a racist, okay? So we're not condoning any part of it, but there is a degree of difference in just the general ignorance of saying some dumb shit to people actually that you need to be concerned about, that they are racist and they are a total pedophile rapist, like straight up. Yeah, I mean, anybody into the slavery thing is a rapist because it was all against their will, right? So all those things have to do with consent, having agency and no agency there, and human trafficking, right? So you talk about those things. So of course a rapist loves that, right? So you have to be a rapist. That's the thing about this whole scenario of things, because I was like, yeah, you couldn't just randomly go up to a healthy minded person that say that wasn't raised into any environment like that and throw that type of ideology on them and have them run with it. So that was the thing. I was like, you couldn't do that to me. There's no way you could even talk me into that. Like now when you're talking today. So my background wasn't that. But yes, people were very ignorant in words. Yes, exactly. So we're trying to tackle this in the most proper way, because it's the stem off is women. So he's going on about slutty women and then going racist. So he's talking about all women and then he's going full-blown racist and he's a pedophile. So anyways, the police department fully cooperated with the authorities, and then they stripped him of his police powers and suspended him. And then after receiving the full details of the investigation for the first time, he was terminated. His actions do not reflect the values of myself, my officers, or the profession of the law enforcement. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He reps all of you. Nor do they conform to the mission statement of the police department. Yeah, whatever. How the FBI found out. Okay, wait. James said he's saddened, heartbroken, disappointed, and downright appalled. The fact that one of my own officers has tarnished the reputation of our town. Yeah, whatever. This is ridiculous. What about the kids that he abused? Okay, the FBI found, okay, the FBI received a report from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Right? So I've dealt with them, so why didn't they call me back on our stuff? You know what I mean? Like, there's a thing to this. Um, so apparently FBI doesn't actually go by the actual victims. You have to go through a multi-services here to have them go after you. But that means that somebody gave a tip to them, because I have to get, like, if I see something, I have to give them the tip to that and the link, and you know what I mean, that thing. So it means the public did that, went to them, then they didn't do shit. So I went to them, they did uh, some things, yes, and then some things, they didn't even respond back. Like, they didn't call me back. Like, they didn't get back to me. So they didn't even know what it was about. So it was a weird thing. They didn't even get back to me on this thing. But anyway, I'm just letting you guys know how this whole thing. So the Snapchat said one of the users, Jason Kyle 221, was in possession of child abuse material, and the FBI said it was prepubescent girls engaging in sex acts. Yeah, so at what point are you saying old enough? You guys are going by 12, so if you have something a little older, it's totally good. Yeah. So the girl's face is clearly visible, and thus I was able to recognize the girl from a known victim of offenses. The victim there was a report maybe on the victim, and then he had possession of it, something like that. Okay. Paris was able to obtain the IP, the link, and learned it belonged to them. So this is the second cop I've seen in the last couple weeks that had some bullshit like this. Okay. So then Kelty stated some of his family and friends may have access to his home internet network, but he could not name any specific individual. Okay, so now he's trying to spin a conspiracy. So let's keep watching this, right? So he spins a conspiracy that, some friends, family, you know, after typing that other stuff, right? That's what I said. I go, these men talk like that, so I listen to them, and other women too, okay? I've been seeing women promoting rape online. I'm trying to zero in on this and being as fair as possible. But again, the cycle of abuse is from men raping women, and of course, then they're all rapists now. Okay. After obtaining a warrant, the FBI searched the Snapchat account. See, I'm telling you, so they could do this, right? They can go online, they can go back into the history. So what happens with FBI when you're dealing with older kids, right? Oh, they start victim blaming the children, and then or adult shaming and sex shaming women for their jobs, right? Because didn't they go after Backpage, right? That's a form of the slutty shit, right? Yeah. And FBI got totally sued for doing the same conduct to other adults, right? Yes. So this is what's so important on this. Why is this more important than any other rapes, okay? Any other forms of abuse. So they see photos, and somehow that's like a million times worse than somebody actually raping a kid. You know? You know? I don't know why. Can you tell me why? I would like to know why, because if somebody just taped the abuses of me, then that's way worse than them actually raping me. But the FBI was also able to confirm the child sexual abuse material. It's just material, guys. Prompted the tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Well, I would consider myself exploited considering what happened here. So you've been mighty fine with exploiting me even more. And by throwing us into the street and doing these horrible crimes to us as we're trying to go after the perpetrators that did this stuff to us. There's no way for me to not know that there's not video footage or any other things of me in some of these cases. Men have been videotaping us and you've been doing all kinds of crap, okay? In houses and whatnot. And you've okayed that conduct the whole time. Alright, so in addition, the special agent found a child abuse image that he sent on August 7th to another user lying face down on a man's lap. Okay, well, there was a video here on YouTube of a guy having his baby in his butt, his naked butt, okay? And YouTube felt the need to put it as 18 plus, and that was the father of the child. So you're looking at parents sexually abusing their kids. I would if I seen my dad do this and I grew up and I saw my dad do it, I'd be disgusted from hell. But also I'd be furious that he put it up online. The girl is completely nude except for the American flag socks on her feet. Oh, God. The male who is also nude is raping the girl with his hand in the image. I'm sending the pic. Yeah, well, can you explain to me the baby's face in the butt crack? The guy had a naked butt and he kept letting the kid throw its face in his butt. I cannot believe the shit that I've seen on YouTube. I've had to report stuff before, but when it came to this point where nobody was cooperating, so I reported to YouTube. YouTube has they need to go report that to Missing and Exploited. They need to do that. We don't know who that kid is. It's being presented as his own kid. You don't put it as adult for adult men to get off on. Like, what is that? It was crazy. I don't know where it is right now. I would have to go back and back and back forever over this. I reported it and then they don't do anything. In sending the picture, Kelser asked the user, "You good with these kind of pics? What do you think? We're into the same shit, dude. Haha, just making sure." Interest in 14 to 16. The Snapchat shirts also reveals conversations between him and others, with sexual interest in age 14 to 16. There you go. 17 is also a kid, 18 is still in question. So, an example provided in the court, Kelty is said to have carried on conversations with another person in which he says weird questions. How young is too young for you? How young are you into? Oh, God. Okay, here we go. In this November 2022 conversation, court doc claimed Kelty said he has a thing for young girls. "I'm working a high school football game. OT was going to see if you wanted me to try and sneak you some pics. Yeah. Won't be nothing crazy, but maybe some cute asses. Oh, no. No. I knew it. Every time we were at football game, I said there was all this crazy shit. Well, Kelty told the person he never had sex or touched a high school girl. He's 100% flirt. Oh, he's 100% Kevin Spacey, right? Because this was actually his defense over in the UK, that he's just a big flirt. That actually passed in court, along with him accidentally groping men. How do you accidentally grope anybody? That is not an accidental thing. These girls are such flirts, and I'm not an ugly dude. And I'm not too old, so I definitely think I could get a few, but it's so risky. Yeah, because he's a sociopath, so they love high risk, right? Yeah, yeah, make sure you avoid these guys like the plague, because they're the ones that when you're with them, all of a sudden, like, they'll be out and they need to do something risky, right? Some criminal type of behavior, because that's what gets them off, is harming other people. They don't care about harming the kids or anything. It's like, whoa, this is a high risk thing. I gotta do it, right? Oh, hell no. Sexual conversation with 16-year-old girl. The FBI also found conversations that say Kelty had a 16-year-old girl from April 2021 to 2021. The snippets the FBI provided in the court documents claim to show Kelty asking the girl various questions of now, did she report to you guys or what? I mean, if she was my age and then reported this guy, FBI would come after her instead. Okay, but anyway, ask him to send pictures of her breast, vagina, and whether a third person would be into watching him have sex with the girl. Yeah, them and their damn orgy stuff. Okay, so then the next thing is when the girl said she was uncomfortable sending him pictures of her body. Then show me some pics of your friends or sisters or someone, since you don't want me to blank to pictures of you like I want to. Oh, I mean, this is like every guy I met, right? How many women out here had this guy? Like, I meet them all the time. They talk like that. This is how they were talking to me throughout the 90s and the 2000s. I mean, he's every guy. So when the girl told him she was a virgin, he said where she lived, he could come change that. See, that was every guy's comments, right? When you try to, like, get rid of them or you're trying to push them off, they come up with this, like, rapist sexual thing that you don't want to do, right? Towards the end of the snippet, court document showed that Kelty was calling himself daddy and was the girl. That disgusts me, that whole thing. But, that's there. According to the documents, told the girl not to tell anyone about their conversations. Here we go into the racist stuff. The search through his Snapchat account also found disturbing language that the FBI indicated he loves rape, and he used racist and vulgar language when referring to women and girls. In the 3 examples the FBI provided, used degrading language about Black and Latino women, but he also referred to how his ancestors would rape people. Wow. You'll be surprised how many guys are into this, you guys, and even men of color. It was a crazy thing when this stuff came up to me, because I had to, we're kind of like educators, right? And then also like the public comes to us with their bullshit. And it was really a weird thing where there's these men of color that want to be called all these racial slurs and be treated back in the plant. That whole thing there. There was a whole conversation actually on YouTube by a woman of color talking about that stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a good conversation, because holy crap. I was like, I don't think the public understands this. It isn't that the perception in some cases, maybe that the person is racist doing it too, but actually they were at random going, hey, I want you to call me that. Yeah, there was this weird thing about it. But then there's these guys, right, who are just straight up racist, and then they're going on. But the thing is the tail off is the female portion. I cannot believe he said, I just can't. Like, my brain, like, this stuff goes into, because he's a sociopath. It's just like, why would you, that whole thing, okay, your parents are utter crap. Kelty is one of 3 police officers who were named in the lawsuit. Okay, the lawsuit also filed in the court. He's among several officers who responded to a domestic disturbance in the town, about 13,000 people in 2020, right? The disturbance was between Henry and the mother of his children. The officers separated Henry and the mother of his children to speak to each of them. Officers, according to the lawsuit, decided not to arrest anyone, but asked Henry to leave the residence for the night. Henry was outside the residence and was trying to call his mother to pick him up. According to the lawsuit, the mother, who was recovering from surgery, was unable to pick Henry up. When Henry told the officers about his predicament, several officers tried to book him a hotel room and even worked to raise the money since he did not have enough to pay for a room. Wow, that's sweet. Wasn't that like the Brian Laundrie case? Oh, we're going to help you over to this hotel. That's when another officer arrived and demanded that Henry call his mother and leave. Henry, according to the lawsuit, called his mother and asked if somebody could pick him up. According to the police who had just arrived, it was an officer. That officer immediately tackled Henry to the ground, injuring him in the process. And that's when the lawsuit said Kelty placed his knee on Henry's neck, and Henry's was face down at the time. Reminiscent of George Floyd, was killed in the police custody. Henry was taken to the police department where the lawsuit said he was charged with six charges, including endangering the welfare of a child, resisting arrest, and offensive touching. The lawsuit claims was in retaliation for using an obscenity to describe the officer. Henry's lawsuit claimed that he was deprived of his constitutional rights, including to be free from excessive use of force and to be afforded due process. And yeah, okay. So as he was beating his wife. Okay. Anyway, so there's that. Okay. The other story that was interesting today, it'll be a quick one. This one was interesting. So John Stamos, okay, he was abused by a babysitter, remembers playing dead. Okay, so his comments on this are a little strange. Okay, John Stamos claims he was sexually abused by a former babysitter and would play dead in order to get her to stop, okay? So it's a female. But then he goes, I remember it slightly. Like, it's no big deal, right? He's like, the actor 60. And then, it was always been there, but I packed it away as people do, right? So while it was always in the back of his head, he said he previously chalked up the allegations to girls, man, and didn't tell anybody about it. I'm like, where would you get this as, like, girls, man? So this was weird. The comment to it is weird. So, no. At what point did you take that women just molest a bunch of kids? That's actually not a normal thing, but I don't know the actual statistics of this because, I have to go by, okay, my situations of who did what, right? And in the course of that, the female perpetrators are very low. It still happens, right? But it's extraordinarily low. The male perps are extraordinarily high because America is a rapist and they promoted child rape from the start, right? And then having human trafficking and everything else, right? So we're dealing with that. So when you molest another kid, be it male, female, whatever, then you run the risk of a cycle of abuse, right? So then they will go off and some will abuse others thinking, this is just fun and dandy to like sexually abuse this little kid, right? Because it's not about sex, you guys. Like they're doing it to be malicious and whatever is going on here. Now, it doesn't say exactly what this babysitter did while he's playing dead, but it would be important to note so other people can identify, oh, that happened to me, right? So if they started tickling and grabbing his crotch, then you know what I mean? So then somebody could look back and go, oh, shit, well, that happened to me too. I didn't view it as such back then. But another problem with this type of thing, depending on how depraved, I'm like, how bad the sexual abuse was, they're turning into monsters, right? And they're doing these things. So if Stamos had totally okayed this, then he wouldn't really stop it seeing another girl do it, right? Because he's going, oh, these girls, blah, 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 right? So in the comment section, there was a comment of somebody saying, I wish I got raped by my babysitter. So they were promoting it. So a couple of things. So they're promoting being a pedophile and child rape, and they're not against it, and they would do it. That's really what that means. And I'm trying to get more detailed in the comment section. I don't want them muting anybody. Censorship is terrible. It's for a couple of reasons. So for the years that these horrible monsters were posting in the comments, right? And celebrities trying to play pretend like they're above it, which is bullshit. They've been just as much bullies to everybody else as anybody here. And having their kids come after me and all kinds of shit. That what it's doing is it's helping us understand the problem more, even though these comments are totally atrocious. Because you have to sit with it and go, what are they saying here? And they're actually promoting it, right? So I'm looking back at it and I go, yeah, it's going to come back around on these people because they have their names on the account. So I'm like, if this guy wants to be a cop and he's saying shit like that, then it's going to come back on him, right? And he's going to lose his job or something, or he's going to get found out to be a pedophile rapist because he's promoting it there, right? But they're doing this thing where they're censoring victims out and trying to say that you need to act a certain way. Now, this stems off of racism and classism and just general male supremacy and Christian ideology. And so they're trying to say, like, you can't use these certain words, even though the topic is about rape, right? So now certain sites won't let you say the word rape. This is ridiculous. This is going back into the 80s. And it's going to make it difficult to see what the problem is. Also, when you're reading online, the wording is so jumbled up that you don't really understand the point of what the person is trying to make. Yeah, there's a couple sites where it's that bad. Because every other word is like not allowed. And then Yahoo just got a new program, which is absolute garbage, okay? And I like their little tag on it. They're like, this is done by Al, and it's not human, this, that. It's learning all this, and it's trying to erase. That's scary. It's trying to erase and looking at what's toxic. I'm like, it doesn't know what's toxic, because if you read the comments, the whole paragraph of this guy is toxic as shit. So just because it's not using, what it's doing is targeting male supremacy. They're targeting, they're targeting the victims of male supremacy, but allowing male supremacists in the programming. And I know for a fact that they literally programmed on a different site a certain tagline of words because they were posted before, right? And so all of a sudden somebody like threw it, inputted it, and then it came after, did this thing. So I was like, no. So they're trying to pass a fucking, some bullshit off on you guys. But no, they're trying to actually form your speech in a certain way to conform with one person's idea of how people should engage with each other. And there's no way in hell that you should be nice to abusers, okay? No way in hell that you should put up with somebody that's raping you. No way in hell that you should put up with any male supremacist racist, right? And no way should you be okay with that. And nor sit at a table with half these people because they're goddamn rapists. That is a crime. Some of these people are very capable of murdering you. So no way. So they're trying to target us over that, because when you're talking about it in this format of, God, I wish they would rape me and I would rape some kids. That's totally fine and passable in the comment section, guys. Being hate speech towards women is passable in the comments. Hate speech towards people of color have been okay and passable in the comments. Hate speech towards gays have been passable in the comments. However, here's going to be something interesting with the gay thing, because I was like noticing it as I'm talking about it. Okay, so there's these gay rapist monsters. Oh, they've always existed because they're just men. They were all, okay, so the thing with that is they were all raised with the same trashy parents, right? They were all raised the same way as any straight male was raised, right? And in the mix of this, some sociopath gay monsters came out of it, and they started taking advantage of people in their community, mostly the rich ones, okay? They have been massively abusing their power and sexually abusing tons of people, right? So in that community, it was very hard for them to come out and say like, oh God, I was a victim of this thing and blah, blah, blah. And it's more of a setup on them to begin with, because as I keep talking about the early days of the Christians being abusive, right? And they threw them into the street, right? Or the kids ran away from home, or they just promoted raping little boys just generally and blah, 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 right? But here, that's where it left this open door for these gay monsters. I'm calling them gay monsters because they are. That came out and totally abused these kids, and some were serial killers, right? Some of those guys. And yeah, so it was important to, that's coming out. Like the Mike Jeffries, yes, there was tons of them, right? You had that Ed Buck guy. Yeah, and I go, yeah, I kind of was aware of it, but not, like, I was not educated enough at the time to understand that. No, no way. Because the way that it was viewed then was just kind of how they were talking about in the documentary of like, when I came to LA, you know, the thing was to hook up with some sugar daddy. And I was like, what? Like I heard the gay like the men in that community, like there was a lot of them doing all that stuff, right? And it seemed like the perspective then was that, oh, this is all consensual and all this stuff is going on. Everybody's, you know, just being freaking wild as shit, you know? But as we're getting more information on it, it's changing my perspective of it, which it should be, because it's actually the proper way to look at it. And the abuse of power that was going on in it, and there was no consent really, and there's these push into, right? So they didn't talk about the coercion thing or anything like that as kids. Just a lot of stuff in this, and you know, at that time they were promoting knock 'em out and doing all this stuff, right? So as we're getting more educated, it's very important to pay attention to the victims, what they're saying. But like I said, it was kind of in the back of my mind because it's kind of this frozen in time thing from all the kids that got raped and that were runaways or whatever the case is. And I don't know what happened to them. And it's not good. And they were victims at the very beginning of it. And it's like, I don't know what the outcome was of those men. And what I'm seeing now is rich gay men covering up the crimes that they have done and have done to others, and just helping a general overall group of people here that are absolutely atrocious. And not just even from gay, like it's the gay men doing it, but they're also protecting people who are not gay men. They're protecting their drug addictions and the people that were using them to knock other people out, or that those people had done things to other people, and they're trying to hide behind their addiction as it being a piece of shit, right? And that has nothing to do with each other, actually. Having the drug problem doesn't equate to you being a rapist monster, you know, those things, right? And it's important to tackle that because the LGBTQ community has a hard time as is. and they need to feel comfortable in coming out and not feel like they're going to be attacked because they have to go at themselves, like their community itself. And the people that were trying to say that they represent them are actually not the greatest people to represent any of them at all. They're actually some of the gatekeepers that have been keeping them down. It was really crazy because I noticed it when I was doing a clip the other day, and I backed off on putting it up yet because I'm kind of like, the information that I found in it was pretty hefty, and I'm just kind of like, maybe I should just forward it to Missing and Exploited and have them look at it. I mean, yeah, it turned into that. And I was kind of like, oh my God. But in the community itself, like, they were technically being attacked by these guys, right? Like, they came into their forums and were like telling them to just spinning lies and going after them when all the information was in fact true. It was legit. It was legit. And they're not lawyered up, nothing. It's crazy. It was the weirdest thing I ran across the other night. It was so accidental. And I was saying, and then I accidentally ran across that other video that I put up. And I was like, yeah, no, I went on one thing and it led me to another. And I just was like, oh, let me see this. And then it went somewhere else. And I was like, holy crap. I don't, like sometimes these topics, like I have to wait on information sometimes because like if I premature, which I was premature on, a group of people that I was living with a long time ago. And to this day, I have regrets of even posting some of what they said anyway, a long time ago. And then I removed it. It was like a thing like that. It makes me seem shitty, but the truth is that that's what was passed to me. And the way you'd have to be present to see what was going on here. But there were some indications of some of these people, with their some bad things with them. And they popped up in another story, another person in it, on some other things. And I feel that those people are going to fly targets like crazy when I bring up this stuff because they're not good people. And there's some underlying stuff there that I'm actually unclear about. And because at one time it was the angle with somebody else, but there is another angle in it. And the third party involved in that, I can't answer their bullshit. They had a lot of negativity on them. But there's something else in that, actually. And that's all I'm going to say about it at this moment. It's just me feeling like I can do it without having a problem. So for some reasons, there's some people that like I don't even like whatever. But this group of people I already know is very bad, and they have a lot of they do a lot of bad things, and so I'm already aware of that. So that's for me personally. So it's kind of like, yeah, that one out of any of the ones, if I pop it up on here, that's going to it may cause some additional things. So I want to make sure that I'm protected in how I'm actually explaining the story and then properly. And then so to limit any further like damages that they try. That's the thing about doing these stories. It's not, it's me talking about what's in the press already and then putting it together and showing the story to you guys. And it's not, and I do it for free, but the thing is that some of these people, because of their connections and things, do really bad things. And I've been noticing a pattern with somebody, and then something else came around, and then it went back into the past, and then it went back to our thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So no, it is a learning thing in that. So it was a little premature early on, because it wasn't like, oh, I was seeing this bigger picture or something at the time, right? And why are they using me in the middle of the story? Yeah, so it was semi-connected to me. But then it was this mysterious thing that I was like, what in the hell? So I kind of explained some of that already. But I think my perspective of it is a little bit more, it's a little bit more deeper than that. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about it. And but again, anybody that's here for, trying to hook up or defending other sexual abusers or anything like that, you could leave.